So, sorry for the break in transmission. So, like I said earlier, who can give us a very concise definition of what network is? Raise up your hands. What is a network? Okay, so let's move on. Now, we said that a network is a group of connected devices. Yes. How did we come to that? If you're on this class, I believe that it's either you are using your laptop or you are using your phone to this class, and your phone possibly might be connected either to your laptop, for charging or for sharing of file. That connection between your phone and your laptop is already a network. Do you understand? Because they are connected to share either file, internet, or document. So based on that, we will now say that a network is a group of connected devices. If you go to, for example, the APSU CPU, where you see the way they connected their desktop to their server to the internet, and so forth and so forth. That is a typical example of a connected devices. Then some also by extension, we also have what we call Internet of Things. Internet of Things, IoT. In IoT, there are some phones, there are some devices. For example, your TV. We have smart TV. We have also, you might connect your smart TV to your phone, and from your phone, you also connect your phone and the smart TV to another device, say your printer or desktop or even fridge. All of these devices that are connected together are what we call a network. I hope that is clear. So this is a good example of what we're talking about. Now, if you look at this diagram, you will see a web service, you will see a modem, you see firewalls, you see router. Then if you look at there, you see switch. Then above you see router. Then you now see by the side, you see desktop, smartphone, laptop. What does this tell you? This is a typical example of what we call a network. Because if you look at this, there are so many devices that are connected together to have access to, either by sharing internet or by sharing file or by trying to have access to internet services in order to browse the website. Now, we're going to explain these devices one by one. So we have a device. Devices can communicate on two types of networks. We have the local area network, also known as LAN, and the wide area network, also known as WAN. Now, in a local area network, for example, LAN, we have different type of LAN, local area network. We say that local area networks span in a small area like an office building, a school, or a home. Take for example, in a cyber cafe is a typical example of local area network. Yes, the network might be connected together, like say the printer is connected to the CPU is connected to the desktop, and the printer is connected to the CPU to share file, and also to the scanner. The scanner is connected to the device, desktop. So now, when all these things are connected together, they are running on a network, and we call that network local area network. If we have, say, 3, 4, 5, cyber cafe or cyber offices This already, the network, the Cyber Cafe 1 cannot share network to Cyber Cafe 2 if it is not being energized, either through internet. But within that area, that locality, that local segment, that office, it might be configured only to share files or information on whatever it is, yes, information, or to communicate within the system that are located in that office. That is a good example of local area network. Now, if you go further, you see that we also have what we call, well, we have different type of local area network. We have different type. We have meter area network. We have CAA, city area network. We also have, different varieties of different types of local area network that serve for different purposes. Then, when you talk about wide area network, one span in a large geographical area like a city, state, or country. You can think of the internet as one big wide network tools. So why is it important for you to have knowledge of these network tools? Is because as a security analyst, you may require to either set up or to analyze, its network tools. But the understanding of how this thing function is very, very important. And one of the network tools we'll be talking about tonight is a hub. And we say that a hub is a network device that broadcasts information to every devices on the network. Now, you think of a hub. For example, now, say you have for example, you are running a cyber cafe. Let me use cyber cafe for example, because it will be easier for us to understand it. Now, say you run a cyber cafe. Now, in the cyber cafe, you have you have 5 desktop that is connected together. You also have a printer. You have scanner, maybe 2 or 3 scanners. Now, when you are connect all this together, they will also be centralized by a hub. The job of a hub is to broadcast information. If you want to send a file, say you want to send a document to system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you send it through a hub. What hub does is to broadcast those files, that communicate or send that package or information rather to those that send that file to number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 system. That's what the hub does. The hub will broadcast it to all the system that is connected to it. It does not, even if there is an outside, for example, maybe a system or someone that made mistake to connect to that your hub, to that network, the hub will broadcast that information to it. Even if that particular device is not supposed to, or is a malicious network, the hub will still send it information. So far, it is connected to that network. Remember what we say a network is. So when 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 devices are connected together, is a network. And we say that we have 2 types of network. We have the LAN and we have the WAN, local area network and wide area network. Local area network is in a small space, they say in office, schools, stuff like that. Even in the campuses, use local area network. Then when we talk about states, cities, from country to country, we talk about WAN. So now, inside that network that have 5 devices, now you have a hub situated at the center that send information. You don't need to say, okay, I want to send information to computer 1. you send computer one, you say, okay, after sending, you say computer two. No. It is when your hub is connected, like if you look at the diagram, you see A, B, C, D. This is a typical example of port in which you can connect various devices to the hub. Now, once you do that, you send the file through the hub. The hub will broadcast it to all the network that is connected to it. So even if there's a network that mistakenly connect that you are not aware as the owner, the hub will still broadcast information. So that is why a hub, we say that hub is not an intelligent device. That takes us to away from hub. Now let's look at switch. We say that a switch is a network device. You know, a switch makes connection between specific devices on a network by sending and receiving data between them. Now let's use example of our cyber cafe. Say Oriental cyber cafe. Now in this cyber cafe, you have 6 desktops, as we said earlier, connected together, and they are using switch to broadcast information, just like hub. You know, they do the same thing, but the difference between hub and switch is that hub is more intelligent. That is, a switch cannot send. A hub is more intelligent than a switch is more intelligent than hub. A switch cannot send information to any device that mistakenly connects to it. I don't know why it is clear. So what a switch does is that when you now centralize when you set up, you run your connection in a cyber cafe, you know, or in an office. After connecting, say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 devices together, you now use hub to energize it by sending it. You now use hub to communicate. So switch rather. Why am I calling hub? So switch rather. Sorry for that. So when you send a file, when you want to send a file to those systems through a switch, what switch does is switch ensure that the devices that have been configured or have been programmed to send that information is what it will send the information to and also receive information from. The switch cannot, either by mistake or by any means, send to any network or devices that is not or have not been originally connected to it. It's information. So we say, based on that, we say that a switch is more intelligent because now he tried to act, he tried to reason. Am I supposed to? Okay, no, this the network, this device that is on this network is a malicious one. So for that reason, I'm not allowed to send information to this device. I want to receive. So that's why most organizations choose a switch over hub. So so that is that for a switch. So we'll move over to router. Okay, on Saturday last week, someone was asking about subnet. Now, this is a very good time for that person to deepen his knowledge on subnet. Now, look at what a router does. Look at router now. Look at the diagram. We say that a router is a network device that connects multiple networks together. Multiple networks. So, for example, now, in that ICT center at BAM site, you notice that we have first hall, second hall. The first hall, okay. So the first hall, if you look at the way we had our class, you notice that there's thousands or hundreds of systems connected together to receive information. Now, if you go downstairs, I think we're downstairs, a bit up or upstairs, you see that there's also another center there. If you go to the other side, there is also another center there that have different devices. Yes. Now, we can call the class we were as subnet 1. You get? We can call it subnet 1. The other one that is up can be subnet 2. Then the other one we don't know that is also there can be subnet 3. They are all running on different servers, right? So for if the school say okay they want to run a program that will be broadcasted to all the network, they now require a router. The router is what they will use to connect to connect subnet 1 to subnet 2 and subnet 3, and then share information alongside. So we say that a router is a network device that connects multiple networks together. Remember what we say about networks. So that center we were already is already a network because it's a connection, it's a group of connected devices. That is what we call network. So a router connects multiple devices or multiple networks together. So a 3D explanation helps, at least it helps to deepen our understanding on subnetting. So away from there, you all already know modem. So I made mention of yes last week Saturday. I also explained that we have software, defined networks or software defined networks, so which we call virtualization tools. Yes. So like I explained that day, that most of the tools, like we mentioned, hub, switch, router, modem, these are physical network devices. Now, these physical network devices also have software, software application that does the same job they do, and that is what we call virtualization tools. Now, instead of you now say you want to set up a system, for example, for your company or your organization, and instead of having or going to start buying them one by one, or start buying them going to office to buy physical devices, maybe you may not have a space. Maybe it's just a small office that you guys have acquired, and you want to run a bigger, online project, for example. But if you now said, okay, let us devote money to buy a hub or buy all those physical devices and put them in place, it might occupy space and then also cost money to house them or manage them. So, in absence of that, or in order for you to still have or to enjoy quality service or still use the service that this switch provides, now we now have the virtualization tools or software that does the same job they do. And when you use these tools, we call them virtualization tools or software-defined networks. They do the same thing the hub or a switch can comfortably do, and you still enjoy the same service. So, if you look at this diagram now, for example, now this is a typical example of how some organization, even banks, this is a typical example of how they, structure their design in order for them to be able to manage their organization very well. Look at department A. Look at the first diagram there, department A. Now, if inside there you see that there is a laptop, there is a desktop, and there are two. Below we have two laptops and one desktop and each CPU. Then up we have two desktop and two and one two desktop, yes. Then we also have another gadget. That gadget you are seeing is a modem. Then we also have a Wi-Fi connected to it, right? Now, the set is also down. You have three of them, department A, department C, department B, department C. So they are all structured this way. Now, if you look at it now, if you look at by your right, you see a switch, then you see a server, you see a router, then you see internet. This is a very good example of how this networking works. Now, you see that you see that when the router now is connecting all these multiple networks together, and when information passes from the router, before you get to this internet, right, that is a hub, you have to, the switch will ensure that this communication is coming from the right portal. Because one thing about internet is you send and you also receive. So as the information is, as you are sending from maybe from department A, it will pass through and come to the switch. The switch will take this artifact and say, okay, it's okay. Then it move and then go to the internet. The same way it will also move. Say it is moving from, say you're getting internet. Now you want to supply internet to all the departments. And you want to be sure that the internet, the way you're getting the source of your internet is not being compromised. Then it will pass through to the router. The router will broadcast it through the server. The server will now send it to the switch. The switch will now communicate to all the network, both network A, department B, department B, and department C. This feature is a very good example of how so many offices have been set up. And this is what we call this is a very simple network design, or system design, or can I say maybe the basics, the most basic or commonest system design that will give you an idea of how offices are being set up, or how organizations try to structure out, So by the time you go advanced, you begin to understand how what we call industrial design, industrial cybersecurity design, that have to take effect. As in, it is more complex than this, very complex. So with this diagram, you as an analyst, because as an analyst, your job is when there is an attack, when there is anything happening, your job is to first of all look at the system. How is this system structured? How are they designed? What are they designed in place? What communicate? What send message? How does message sent or received? How does the network communicate to each other? How and where does it communicate? And from there, you can now begin to see where the error might likely come from. Like from this information now, for example, from this design now, if you look at it critically, you see that it might be a little bit difficult for it to be compromised because we have the router and we have the switch. So it will be difficult for it to be compromised. But the issue there is this. Where it is a little bit problem is that if you look at it, you see that it is the router that supply, the switch. The switch connects to A and B. So if anything happened to A, it will still come down to the switch. If anything happened to A, it will not go straight to B immediately. Rather, it will bounce back to the switch, and the switch will check, am I supposed to communicate or send this packet to B or send it out? So this example now reads meaning. So it helps us to know, it helps us to look at what we call compartmentalization of networks. So you draw a compartment, making sure that none of the department is communicating directly to each other. Rather, their communication happens through the switch. And from there, switch receive and send to them, each individual department. So because if department A was to send packets, communication straight to B or C, If A is compromised, it will affect B and C at the same time. So you see that the design some organization run these days is what make them to have less compromise or less attack. Let's take for example now. Take for example, say you are owner of a microfinance bank, right? Now in that microfinance bank, you have your HR, you have the admin, you have the desk, the teller, right? These are different cluster, or you can call it different units. Now you also have the general manager, or the manager rather. So imagine for a moment that all of these units, we have about 4 of them. All of these units now, they say the HR send information to the teller or to the admin, right? And the admin now also send information to the, as in they send the HR. Let me put it in the right perspective. That the HR send and receive from the admin send and receive from the teller send and receive from the general manager. Now check for a moment, if an attack happens, you see that it will be easier to get to all the units of the bank, of that microfinance bank, and compromise the bank, either by blocking it through ransomware attack, right? Or by throwing a virus that will corrupt all the files in the system. So the best way to have done it is, first, you have your HR team, they have their system. Their system is demilitarized. You put them in a separate zone. They are there. Then you now have the admin. They have their own. They don't communicate. Admin and HR cannot communicate direct, one or as in send and receive. Then you have your teller. They cannot send and receive. So what happened is this. Then the question will not be, then how do you want them to communicate? The best way, the way they are going to communicate is there will be a switch that supplies information. Their communication will pass to the switch. Then the switch has already been designed to receive this information and also send it to this particular information, to the particular department. Now, those departments, the 3 departments, 4 departments can be connected through router. When they are connected through router, the router now, will make it easier for the switch to send them those information without having to be sending it them themselves, sending department HR, sending to admin, and admin now sending to teller. They will just send, maybe the general manager want to send information to the head of those departments. He will send it to the switch, and the switch will now broadcast it, will now send it to different, will drop it because it has already been configured to send and receive such information. So this analysis of design helps us to protect the networks or devices that are connected to a particular network. Because if any network is compromised, and the connection, the way it was connected, was not done in isolation or with compartmentalization in mind, it means that if network A is compromised, then B will also be compromised. So if an attack happens, it will affect all the systems connected to that network. So that's why, if you look at, for example, in the banks, they normally have, in fact, they used to normally have network glitches. But you see that if a branch A is having a network glitch, it might, in that branch A, it might just be for their, what is it called? The tellers, their system, because this system has been, it has been subnetted not to, if this unit, because all the tellers, they might have the same kind of, they might belong to or be classified, in a different network that is different from the marketers. So if you compromise this one, you cannot get to the other end. That is the beauty of what cybersecurity, this simple design. So as a security analyst, your first job is to understand how it works. When you are being called upon to analyze, you first of all think, how was this network, or how is this network connected? How do they run? What is connected to these devices? With this understanding, will help you to know where to begin to scan for vulnerabilities or to scan for attack. I hope this is clear. So it is very, very important that we understand this network very well. So that is that. So now, before we think, that is that. So let me ask, before I will explain further, let's get some questions from you. Let me know. I'll be calling. I will be the one that will call. Let me know those ones that are not in class. Those ones that will just join and disappear. They'll go and that things. Let me know. Let me catch them. Okay. Okay. Simon Adeyi, speak. If you are there, I want to ask you a question. So, Simon, what is network? Simon is not there. See what we say. Simon Adeyi is not there. Okay. Is it Jassy? Jassy, speak. What do you understand by what is the difference between a hub and a switch? Jassy.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Evening, speak.
I've been having a network glitch actually, but I just joined. I'm going through the slide. I didn't follow up all this one.
See? Okay. Oh, thank you for being honest.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, let me. Destiny, I speak. What is the difference between a hub and a switch?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Both hub and switch, they are network devices that broadcast information. But the thing is that switch is more intelligent than hub, in the sense that switch will not accept another network that just intrude into the network platform without that intrude into the network platform, while hub can just transfer or broadcast the data or information to any of the devices that they find within the network.
Fantastic. That's good. It means that you were listening.
I don't know if you get me, sir.
Yes, very well, very well. That was nice. Thank you for that answer. All right. So, okay. Clinton Chima. What is a router?
I think, good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Speak.
Okay. According to your definition or your explanation, a router is a networking device that connects multiple computer networks together. it is normally used for subnetting. That is, you want to subnet your network or segregate your network from other network, you can use a router.
All right. So I hope we are taking note of what we are answering, because when you go further, you begin to interact with these tools. You begin to see, like in our next class, Saturday is going to be practical, purely practical. In fact, Saturdays will now be practicals. So no more this thing. Once we start the class, we are in for practicals. So just get yourself set. So what I'm doing is I want to make sure that we have, immense understanding about networks and what it entails. So, okay. Now it's time for you to ask me a question. So ask a question, raise up your hand and ask question. Ask question. If you raise up your hand, I will call you. Just say, do you raise up your hand or you're just okay? Or you're just saying, ask a question. Okay, just say maybe it's a mistake. Clinton Chima, ask your question. Clinton Chima, ask your question.
So my question goes like this. It's about your explanation about switch. I think, according to your explanation, I think switch serves a similar purpose or almost the same purpose as a firewall. So I just want to know what is the difference between a firewall and a switch. Since switch interacts with a configured network or information, so I just want to know what is the difference between a firewall and a switch.
All right. So, to answer your question, firewalls and switch they are not the same. Switch, like I said, they are network device. Firewalls is a network security device. Do you get it? Do you get it? Switch is a network device, or you can call it a network tool. Meanwhile, firewalls is a network security device. So firewall is for security. The duty of firewall is to monitor and filter out unwanted devices that is on the network. So firewalls is like a barrier that will not allow unwanted network or devices to pass through the network that it has been reconfigured to protect. So it monitors and filter out unwanted network from the unwanted devices from the network. So they are not the same. Meanwhile, switch is send and receive information within the network. It sends the information to the devices on the network. Do you understand? And then receive. So it's a communication. It allows for communication. This one is for security. This one is for communication. So they are not the same. Please don't get it twisted. Okay. Chukwemeka, answer your question.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. My question is this. According to your explanation, you said that the routers allows multiple network connections. Then, my question is this. The switch and the hub, is there any limited number of network it can take, or I don't know?
Okay, so if you look at the ports, the holes that each switch have, like for the one that I'm showing you, have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is switch. So meaning that it will allow it will allow 8 devices to be connected to it. Then that yes. Look at it. This is a switch. Yes. Then if you look at a hub, I think a hub too have the same. You have up to 10. Some hub have up to 10 connection ports. Some also have lesser. Do you understand? So the number of ports that is available, the new organizations, they try to do new things, improve the existing gadgets. So you might get the one that have up to 10 or less, depending on the port. Do you understand? So that is, these things are hardware. They are not softwares. So it's something that companies produce or manufacture to suit or to build the other competitors.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, Onyibe Prosper. Prosper, Onyibes.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Please, my question is, this router of a thing and the modem, how does they operate? Because most times I think some modem really connects with multiple systems, like wireless modem. Why some, if you didn't connect with the router, it will not connect? I don't know what actually causes it. Is it that the connection?
Okay, maybe if I understand, that might be improper or difficulties in connection. Do you understand? But basically, a modem basically provides internet services. So router sometimes too might be my router might sometimes serve for an organization, maybe where you want to connect your network. In cybersecurity, like for example in SCT, they might have their system connected to the internet in the department that upstairs where we were, and then the other side they will use router to supply that internet that the other side is receiving to the other axis. Do you understand? So again, they might also choose not to use internet. They might want to use internal network. Design a platform that runs on their network. So they will not use router. So it is only within the system that is connected in that unit that will have access to that information that is going on. So most times when you talk about challenge between router and modem, that might be either internet service provider having issues.
Okay.
In every industries, you might decide to connect your department A to department B with a router without necessarily putting them on the internet, just for them to share network. I think I think we will discuss about this type of website. Is it website? Yeah, we'll discuss about it. Okay, so Destiny, yes, ask the question.
Good evening. Thank you for your presentation. It was very, very interesting. My question is this. You said the network are devices that are a group of connected devices. And my question is, when a network doesn't have, when devices are connected without an internet, is this still a network connection? Or must it has to do with internet connection for it to have that network communication? That is my question, sir.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's a very good question. So your question, you know that. Now, because most times, like the understanding most of us had earlier is that internet, as if network is down, if internet is not, we'll say our network is down. So because of that, we tend to make reference to internet or unavailability of internet upon internet as network challenges. But then, or somebody that is in cyberspace now, the knowledge of network goes beyond looking at internet alone. Internet too, like we were explaining earlier, is an aspect of the network. Like we have local area network, we have one wide area network that is being energized or is being used that is being energized by using internet. Like for example, we want to connect say you want to connect Abakaliki to what is it called, to Onu, to maybe Afikpo or thereabouts. You can no longer use local area. You use what? Internet. After setting up those cities, maybe the gadgets in those cities, in those locations, use internet to connect two of them together to supply. So when we talk about network, let me bring it down. For example, now say you are with your phone with you, and you have your laptop with you there, and as you have your phone, possibly your battery of your phone is down, or you just want to use your phone to connect to your phone, maybe to share information. So as soon as you slot in that USB cord to your phone, from your phone to the laptop, it's a network already, because your phone is connected to your laptop. And because two of them are connected, they can share information. They can communicate either by sending file or receiving file. Do you understand? So with or without internet is already a network. I want that to stand out. So that internet is not there does not mean the network. What if you say, okay, let me copy this file and send to my phone? You have said, because these things is what network does. It's network communication. Your phone and your system have established a network. Now you didn't use USB cord, right? And you decide to use Wi-Fi hotspot to your this thing. Maybe you hotspot it to connect to internet. It's still network. You are networking. The phone and the this thing have been connected together. Do you understand? So we can call it a group because it's now more than one. Do you understand? So to rightly for more clarification, when 2 or 3 devices are connected together, whether they share network or not, they are what? Network already. Because as they connected together, they can also share information. Maybe you can copy a file or send video or do this or do that. These are the things that network, that devices does on network. I hope that is clear. Henry Sayo. Henry can speak. Henry, are you there? Unmute yourself and talk.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I want to inquire something. When you were speaking, you talked about the hub and the switch, and informing that switch is more intelligent than a hub. And I want to be clarified. What does the switch look at when it wants to send or when it wants to broadcast? Because a hub broadcasts without looking at the nodes or the request from any of the nodes. It sends to all the clients or all the devices connected to it. But the switch looks at something, and that is what makes it intelligent. What does it look at? Is it the IP address or the MAC address? Because I want to particularly know what a MAC does in a device.
Thank you. So, on a very quick one, so you look at the IP address, right? look at the IP address that is connected to it. It check the IP to ensure that this device that I'm receiving information from or sending information to is the right IP. The information to. So that is just what you look at. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
We have next person, Destiny. You still want to ask more questions? Okay, Destiny can speak now.
No,
Destiny, yeah.
sir, I don't want to ask questions. I just want to affirm what you said, that I understood it. Thank you, sir.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. All right. Chima. Yes, unmute yourself and speak, Chima.
Okay, sir. So I just remembered something. I think
Okay.
I could remember when I enter some offices, my network disappears or it becomes sluggish. So I just want to know which of the network devices is responsible for that, because I think those offices are using something to segregate their network. I don't know if it is the router that is still doing this job. I just want to know which of the network device that is responsible for that.
Okay. I don't think that how do I put it? I don't think that particular problem is because of their network, right? Or the network that there's something they're using. No, it might be that particular area, because one, you are not connected to their network, so as such they are not seeing, unless you yourself, maybe you are trying to connect to their network, they will remove you. Do you understand? So it might be that the internet service provider, maybe you are trying to access internet, right? Because I know when you talk about network, you're making reference to internet. So it might be that the internet service provider there is not too strong, right? So it's not actually that they are using anything to block you, because they cannot really block you when they don't have us. There's no signal, unless your own signal is open. Are you getting it? So maybe, and then trying to connect to them. So for them to protect their network, they try to ward you off. But aside that, I think it's the service providers issue, internet providers problem, not really that there is something they are doing. So the only time, like for example, if an organization is using a firewalls, right? So the only time they can try to use it against you is when you try to connect to that network. Do you understand? So, but so far you're not making any effort to connect to that particular network. They can't actually get at you, as in they don't know you. It's just like somebody trying to say, for example, now somebody is trying to attack you at Lagos. You are not in Lagos, you are in Abakaliki. Maybe he hears your voice and he say he want to attack you or something. He cannot really do anything, because I mean your presence is not there. Your presence is not there, and you are not in their midst that will actually get, apart from if there's, so that is not actually their problem. It might be the problem of your internet service provider. So I believe that there's no more questions, and let me first off.